Today, we have to get straight into this report, the one detailing the National Memorial for Charlie Kirk. And this isn't just, a review of a service. It feels like much more an examination of how a conservative political and spiritual mandate was really forged right there.
That's exactly it. Well, it defined a foundational moment for the movement Kirk was so central to building.
Yeah.
And we're looking at, 10 distinct elements? Okay, so let's start right at the top. Story 1 in the report jumps into the immediate political response from the highest level.
President Trump's reaction.
Exactly. His reaction to the assassin, Tyler Robinson, and these manifestos they apparently found online.
Right, the ones linking Robinson to this phrase, quote, transgender-linked violence against prominent conservatives. That specific language is highlighted.
Which the report really emphasizes, doesn't it? It frames this not just as a random murder, but
as an assault. A deliberate ideological attack. It's positioned as a direct assault on America's core values, its Judeo-Christian heritage, according to this perspective.
And Trump's directive for a comprehensive probe into that kind of extremism that's presented as critical here.
Absolutely critical, because it validates the view within the movement that this threat isn't isolated, it's systemic, it's politically motivated. And the language used, it's designed to be unambiguous. The president's words on the connection between the ideology and the attack were quoted directly, weren't they?
Yes.
We're looking at that.
There seems to be something, but we're looking at it very strongly.
Yeah. That statement, coming from the top, it confirms the official view being presented. This was specific, targeted political extremism, not just random violence.
It really elevates the whole event strategically from a tragedy, which it absolutely was, to a sort of declaration of ideological war against American values. That sets the stage for everything else.
Exactly. It reinforces why the political mobilization that followed was seen as necessary.
Okay, so moving from that political framing to something deeply personal, yet also incredibly public. Story 2, this is where it gets really striking. Erika Kirk on stage.
Under intense security, the report notes.
Right. And she publicly forgives Tyler Robinson, the killer. This is the narrative anchor, isn't it, for the whole service. It reinforces that moral, that spiritual strength Kirk himself was known for. Go back to his conversion story in 5th grade.
Yeah, that connection is made explicit.
And Erika Kirk's declaration of forgiveness, it feels strategically positioned. It turns that raw grief into something else, an act of, profound spiritual defiance.
Let's look at the words she used, because they're powerful. She quotes Christ from the cross.
Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
And then immediately follows with her own words, that young man, I forgive him.
Chilling.
The report itself comments on the impact, saying something like, if this doesn't give somebody chills, I don't know what will. So why is this public act of forgiveness so politically significant in this specific context?
Well, it allows the movement, or those framing the narrative this way, to claim the moral high ground, doesn't it? By showing this, Christ-like compassion, even in the face of such brutality, the narrative shifts. It moves away from just anger or calls for vengeance towards virtue. It defines the conservative response as being rooted in faith in forgiveness, character over retaliation.
So it's about defining the character of the movement through this response.
Precisely. A very powerful move.
Then, building on that spiritual core, Story 3 shows the tragedy being instantly nationalized. President Trump's message to Erika and the children, it wasn't just personal condolence, it felt like a national mandate being declared.
Yeah, it functions as a political promise, absolutely. It wraps the family in this sort of national embrace, and it ensures the father's memory isn't just preserved, but protected, revered by the country.
Yeah.
It directly links the personal loss to the nation's future, its security.
The implication being that protecting the Kirk family is like protecting the ideals he championed.
Exactly. The president is essentially saying that.
The report gives us the exact wording of the vow, which really stands out now as a declaration of conservative resolve.
Let's hear it.
Today, an entire nation wraps its loving arms around you and your beautiful children. We share in your immense and overwhelming sorrow, and we vow, there's that word, vow.
Right.
We vow that we will do everything we can to ensure that your children grow up in a land where their father is honored and revered as a great American hero.
Using vow and hero like that, it's very deliberate language. It immediately cements Kirk's status. Not just an activist, but a hero. Part of the American political story now.
Yeah, it elevates him instantly.
And the clear goal seems to be ensuring his memory goes beyond his activism. He's framed as a martyr for freedom, setting the standard for conservative commitment going forward. Okay,
let's slow down a bit now and look at some details the report includes to sort of build the character narrative. Story 4 emphasizes something President Trump apparently made sure to highlight.
That Kirk's political work, as significant as it was.
Huge. Yeah. Turning point USA.
Right. But that it was secondary to his faith. That his decision in 5th grade to become a Christian was framed as, quote, the most important decision of his life. Why focus on that biographical detail so much?
Well, it establishes the foundation, doesn't it? The bedrock of his mission as presented here.
How do you mean?
If the ultimate goal is just political power, maybe the legacy feels different. But if the main drive is presented as divine service, rooted in that childhood choice,
then the political work becomes almost a moral duty, a mission.
Exactly. It defines him as a spiritual warrior first, political activist second. That order seems important in the narrative.
That distinction is definitely revealing. Okay, shifting to story 5, this one's more personal, a humanizing detail.
Yeah, it talks about the dynamic between the president and Kirk, these late-night calls Kirk apparently made.
Pleading for rally appearances, sometimes the night before.
And the president honoring those requests, quote, without fail.
It's an anecdote that works on a couple of levels, I think. It humanizes both of them, shows a personal connection, but it also underscores this deep loyalty. When the president is quoted saying he never wanted to let Charlie down, it gives this relatable reason for his strong support. It suggests it wasn't just politics, but mutual respect, recognizing the vital work Kirk was doing, especially with young people.
It builds trust in that leadership connection. Useful narrative tool.
Definitely.
Story 6. This one provides what the report frames as maybe the most profound insight into Kirk's character right before the assassination. His final text message.
Yeah, to a staff member who mentioned critics were waiting on campus.
What did he text back?
This is powerful stuff. Instead of gearing up for a fight, he apparently wrote back, "I'm not here to fight them. I want them to know them and love them."
Wow.
In that private moment, just before everything happened, it's presented as the ultimate testimony to his character. It completely rejects confrontation.
And instead asserts this, well, Christ-centered compassion, even going into what could have been a hostile situation.
It effectively defines his whole movement, or at least how they want it defined now, as being driven by outreach and love, not anger or political fighting.
So that private text becomes a very public part of his legacy, a counter-narrative to anyone who called his work divisive.
Exactly. It shows, supposedly, who he really was when no one was watching. It's narrative gold, like you said.
Truly remarkable framing. And then story 7 complements this, right? It brings back that iconic image.
Oh, yeah, from the last election night victory.
Yeah.
Kirk on camera live.
Erika puts the Magi hat on his head. He's bowing slightly.
And he looks up, teary-eyed, and just says, "I am humbled by God's grace."
That image, humility and gratitude right at the moment of political triumph, it's now positioned as an essential, almost sacred part of his legacy.
It reinforces that faith-first message again, doesn't it? Victory achieved through humility, grounded in faith.
All right, the final segment in the report really brings it all together politically. It's the call to action, the mobilization. Stories 8 and 10 frame the assassination explicitly as an existential threat.
Yeah, the sources are very clear. Kirk's murder wasn't just an attack on one man. It was declared, quote, an attack on our entire nation.
That's a huge statement.
It is. And it transforms the battle Kirk was fighting daily against what the sources call cultural Marxism from just, a political debate.
Into a fight for survival, for the nation itself.
Precisely. This framing ensures every supporter feels Kirk's death personally. It's not just grief, it's a call to arms.
And President Trump used some really stark imagery to drive this home. Story 10 gives us that analogy.
The one about the gun.
Yeah. The gun was pointed at him, Charlie Kirk, but the bullet was aimed at all of us. What's the strategic impact of saying something like that?
It guarantees collective mobilization. It leaves no room for interpretation. If the bullet was aimed at all of us, then the response has to be collective. It turns sorrow directly into this renewed commitment to fight for every freedom-loving American.
It's incredibly powerful rhetoric designed to unify the base against what's perceived as a common enemy.
Absolutely. And then finally, story 9 provides the visual for that unity, the culmination of the service.
All together, doesn't it? Faith, family, freedom, the movement, the nation.
May God bless Erika Kirk and family. May God bless Turning Point USA. And may God bless the United States of America. A very clear statement of purpose.
Okay, let's just take a final pass at this. What this whole report really lays out is how the conservative ethos surrounding this absolute tragedy just instantly crystallized around these very specific, very strategic themes we've talked about.
Divine forgiveness.
Fortified defiance based on morality.
Unyielding patriotism.
Right. The tragedy was immediately, almost instantaneously, transformed into this mandate for action.